Okay, so on today's episode of Gasser Works, we are rebuilding Mr. Grove's front end bushings on his 55 Oldsmobile. So we got this cool kit here. These are, I believe these and those are A-arm bushings. They go in the ends of the A-arms right here. And then we have Kingpins, which go right here with new little everything for the Kingpins. And then we also have the bushings that go in the top and the bottom of the spindles. One little part that's going to be a bit tricky. This is a camber adjuster. As you can see, it's offset from the center. So wherever this is turned, adjusts the camber, the in and out camber of the spindle. So I'm gonna have to mark. I'm gonna have to take, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these out right here. There's a lot of threads. One day they'll come out of there. Okay, so as you can see, it's cammed. What I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to mark where that goes specifically and make sure it's the same as the other one. That way when I put it back in, I can have it the same position as the other one, and hopefully I'll just get it as close as we can. It's not gonna be perfect until we throw some alignment tools on it and figure out exactly where it needs to go, but I'm gonna just try to get it as close as I can to the original suspension setup. And then the bottom one's easy because it's not eccentric, but we also have some new sway bar bolts and bushings that also came in that kit. And once I have all this back together, I'll be able to put our disc brake conversion kit on the front. And then soon we should be getting a brake master cylinder that adapts up there and gives us a later model style booster and master cylinder. So today's episode is just going to be getting all this set up. So I'm going to find out where to start here. Okay, so first thing we're going to get done here, we're going to bust out two 5/8. I got one on an impact and one on a little short wrench here. We're going to remove these 4 5/8 nuts and bolts that hold on the 2 A-arms up here, because they're the only things holding these A-arms currently. And then we're gonna take the bushings out of those, clean these up, paint them because they need cleaned up and painted, especially if I have them off. And then we're gonna assemble that with new bushings. So I'm gonna knock these out right quick. Probably not gonna record it so it's easy for me, and I'll show y'all me cleaning this and painting them. Okay, so I have the lower A-arms removed. We can see how nasty they are, and it's also easy to remember which one's left and right because we have a tab over here for the sway bar that goes in the front. So what we're replacing on these is there's these bushings right in the ends right there. Look kind of like this. It's like hollow and it's got a thread inside of it and a grease fitting in the top to grease that. It also has these little rubber pieces that go over and cover the ends so that nothing else gets in there, and it's just twists inside of those. But yeah, so we're gonna take those out, and also since those are the 4 for the lowers, we also have the 4 for the uppers as well. So now I gotta remove these 2 bolts here and those 2 bolts there so I can remove the upper A-arms out, and then those are already painted, so hopefully I only got to do probably a little bit of touching up on them to make them complete. But yeah, we're gonna take those uppers out now and get those out, and we're taking the uppers out. And did I already mention we're taking the upper A-arms out of there? Okay, so I've now loosened these bolts, just so I wouldn't forget which one's on which side. I put a piece of duct tape right there to remind myself that this is the passenger side. These did have nuts on the bottom of them, and they're quite difficult to pull out. There it goes. I'm just gonna drop that down there. This other one shouldn't be so hard. And there's our upper A-arm. So you can see where we need to touch up some paint on it. But there's that. Let's see which one goes where. This would be this side. This one is gonna be that side. You can see here, this one definitely needs some paint on it, so gotta get these cleaned up and painted. Okay, so we have some A-arm parts over there painted and they're drying in the sun right now. But this A-arm, currently it has a bolt broken off in one of the holes, one of the thread holes for the bottom of the shock to bolt to. So what I'm gonna do right quick is I'm gonna already cleaned off the top of the rest of the bolt right there, and then I put a nut on it, as we can see here. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put that nut on there, I'm gonna weld it to it, and then hopefully I can back that bolt out once I have that as one piece. Okay, so let's try this again, round two. I'm gonna turn the voltage down just a hair. Hopefully we can get a little better penetration. I'm gonna turn the wire speed down just a hair too. And hopefully we can get a little better penetration. Gas is going on. Okay, so I don't know how well y'all are going to be able to see this, but after the third try, here's the first attempt, here's the second attempt. These are just where they broke off the head of the bolt. But what I did on the last one was I welded it once, then I ground it smooth till I could see the top of the bolt, the separation between the nut and the bolt again. Then I welded it again, and I did as slow as a bead as I could on there. Now, after I let it cool off and sprayed it with some PB Blaster a couple times, now I don't know if y'all could see this, but I did actually get it to move there. So now I'm just gonna slowly back this out. Hopefully she comes out. I'm gonna be easy on this so I don't snap it off again. But yeah, I'm gonna get that out now. It's just gonna be a slow back and forth motion and spraying it with some peanut butter blaster until I can get it to back all the way out of there. Then I'm gonna run a tap through these threads on this one and on the other one over there, so the new bolts don't have issues like this. All right, now we have all the A-arm parts sitting here drying. They got paint on them, they've been cleaned, they've been purple powered, they've been brake cleaned. I've did everything I could to make sure this paint's gonna stick. But I got all the pieces on there, they're painted, and we're gonna let that dry for now. While we let that dry, I'm gonna go ahead and bust right into these Kingpins over here. So what I gotta do first is figure out which direction these Kingpins need to slide out, and then I need to knock that pin out right there so the Kingpin can slide out. And I'm gonna move forward from there. This is my first time doing Kingpins, so it is a learning process for me, but these are really simple, so I'll get it figured out. Okay, So I've already put one side together here. I don't know how well y'all can see that, but we got the painted lower in there, and then we got the painted upper in there. We have the new bushings on the sides of these, and the new little things here, the little rubbers to protect that. So we're just gonna go ahead and put this side together now. I'm gonna show you guys how I do that. Yeah, we're just doing that first just to make sure that it's in the threads, and then we will take the impact and go ahead and run it down. So now that that's in there, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take this piece here, piece that goes in there, we're gonna put the bushings on it, stick it through one end. Oh, I'm gonna have to back that out some now. So that's my process there on that one. There's that. So there's that one installed. We got the new bushings in it now. I've already went and retapped these holes for the shock, the bottom of the shock mount, and put some new bolts in them. They're stainless, along with the little anti-seize. So all these threads are good again on both the A-arms. There's that A-arm. Now it's onto the upper one, and it's pretty much the same process, but this one's a little easier in the fact that there's more room in between here for this to maneuver around. So it's actually quite easy to just go ahead and put a little anti-seize on there. Anti-seize just make sure that we're not destroying these A-arms for when it comes time to put new bushings in it years on in the future. Just trying real hard to make sure that it's going in straight. It's kind of a difficult task because the threads on here are not exactly A1. I guess we're gonna flip this around, and we're just gonna get these threads like that. I believe that started right there. In which case, yes, it is. So we're just going to go ahead and run that down. There she is, all tightened up. Can't forget our little rubber protectors. So as you can see here, this actually comes past there a little bit pretty good once it's fully tightened in there. So it actually gives us a little room to start the threads on this one before going to mess it up. And here I am messing it up. I forgot my little loop thing needs to go on before I stick it in there. So I just need to stick that right there. So make sure both the ends are on it before you do that. And then you just kind of like a U-joint. But and there's that one. So here we are today, and right here I got a punch with vice grips holding it so my hand can be further away from where I'm hitting as hard as I can with a hammer. I got the Kingpin almost completely knocked out of there. Here's the piece that holds the Kingpin in place. Michael had to remove this one for me. I could not get it, but the fact that Michael removed this one means that the other one's gonna come out of there. It doesn't have a choice. But yeah, here's this. I've been spraying it with PV Blaster and just hammering and hammering and hammering. In the top here, see these little marks there, and there. Those are areas where it's been peened over. So once I get this Kingpin out, I have to take a burr bit and get rid of those areas where it's been peened over. Then I can knock the bushings out that right along the Kingpin here. And then we're well on our way to replacing the bearing in there and the spacers and the grease fittings and having this like brand new again. A little bit of dookie. Okay, so last scene y'all saw I was knocking out the Kingpins on the spindles. I already got both spindles completely rebuilt now. They have the new Kingpins in them, the new bearings, all the new bushings in there. These are rebuilt. They have new bushings in there as well, and then the suspension, I know y'all can't hardly see that, but we have the new bushings and everything as well down here, and these parts are all painted, so on and so forth. I've already put one side together just to make sure I know how to put this together before I do the other side on film. Here's our finished product. Some new rotor and caliper with some fresh pads in there, bearings and everything. It's got the bracket on the back of it to adapt it to a caliper on there, and then new bolts for all of this. There's a good new seal in there, and you can see the rebuilt Kingpin in there as well with all the new bushings. We even got new bushings for the sway bar and link. I already put the spring in this side, all that stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side on camera. All right, Mr. Groves, we got your master cylinder kit here. I'm gonna tear into this like a little kid excited for Christmas. We're gonna do a little unboxing here for the channel. First thing we get is some paper. Here is the pedal. Awesome, so there's our brake pedal. It comes with some nice thick washers there and a cotter pin in it and a little pin. It's not completely painted. You can see some spots where it's got a little paint ground off of it. And we got a random hose.
That's to shove in your butt.
That's to go I'm leaving that in there. In here we have a brand new master cylinder. Comes with some little things there. Take a look at the color of this. There's our brand new master cylinder. Sit there aside. In here we get some instructions. There's the rubber piece for the brake pedal there. Here's the bracket that mounts it to the firewall. There's some more hose. Our hardware, bolt everything to it in a great value Walmart bag. There's some more hardware. In here we have a proportioning valve kit and the bracketry to bolt it to the firewall and stuff. There's the proportioning valve. There's some brake lines in there. This box we have there's our vacuum booster. Sponsored by Dr. Pepper. Not really sponsored, but Dr. Pepper, please sponsor us. If you sponsor us, I'll shotgun this thing right now. In here we have, in the bottom of the box, we get our bracket that bolts to the firewall to adapt the firewall to everything else. This blocks off the automatronic eye box, and I guess it's the driver's side air passage for fresh air to get to the cab. It just blocks that off. You still get fresh air in the cab through the passenger side because they made it two separate sides from 1955. And then we also get some really weirdly bent brake lines.
That's to extend the original ones, remember? We thought we'd have to make them. They already did that for us.
They did, didn't they?
They knew we were talking about it.
So, sweet. There's our little brake kit. We're gonna get to installing that in the near future. First things first, I gotta get the other side of the front suspension together and get the disc brake on there.
Ask him how many times he's put it together.
I've already taken apart and put back together the passenger side front suspension about 3 or 4 times now because it's not fitting right. Okay, so Michael's over there playing with the charger. That's those noises behind me. But in the 55 volts, we got the adapter plate in there now. It is not in there permanently. I just put a number of screws in it to line it up correctly so I can mark where it needs to be cut out. And what actually needs to happen is I mark where the pedal bracket sits, and then I have to hold the pedal bracket up to that and mark the outline of the square plate on the back of the bracket, because it has to go through the firewall to mount to this plate here. So I'm gonna take this off right quick and mark that up, and then we're gonna cut that out. That way we can start mounting our pedal assembly and master cylinder. Alright, so I have the firewall cut out right here. Now this piece goes through it. This will actually mount inside of there, something like that or like that, whichever way it goes. But now I just gotta take this piece and put it there, like that. Now all that's installed. I also have all the new hard lines put in. Here's a fuel line right here. This is the front crossover tube for the front brakes. We got some nice rubberized Adel clamps holding all these on. We also have the rear line ran down the frame rail on up in there. And in case any of you were wondering, this brake line kit, this brake master cylinder kit came with adapters and stuff, so we can, this is the T that would originally go meet the front two together, and then this would go into another block around here somewhere, and this would meet into that block as well, this rear brake line. So it actually came with little adapters. You can see the brass in there versus the stainless fitting to actually adapt into the stock T and stuff like that. Then we have another adapter here to adapt this all together, and this is just out of the way and into the back of that. So, and there was also the front rotor kit, came with little adapters to adapt the hard line to fit into the new rubber lines that go into the calipers. So there's quite a number of adapters up in here to make this all fit together, but luckily the kit came with all of them. So we finished welding up the motor mounts, painted those black. Also the cross member is now finished up and painted. We have disc brakes on the front now on both sides with rebuilt bushings and everything inside of there. It was very difficult to put this side together because seems like this side has taken a hit over on a curb or something, but the lower and upper A-arm needed to be twisted so we could bolt this all together, and it was just an ordeal. But it's all together now. It's all behind us. As for the back of the car, we've removed the spare tire well. That way you can actually see right through here. That way the gas tank, brand new gas tank we got, could clear what was there. So Jim's not going to be running a spare tire. We already communicated this with him. So now we have a plate that we're going to weld in, and probably put some seam sealer over this so it doesn't leak water or anything through the floorboard. Under here, I have a brand new gas tank with a brand new filler neck, and this filler neck is actually removable from this gas tank. The stock one isn't. This has a new fuel sending unit in it as well. I don't know how well y'all could see this, but here's the other end of the fuel line, and it just comes over here and meets up to the front of this. And then we also have new lines for the rear. I haven't installed these yet because we have to rebuild the drums on both ends of the rear. So I'm going to do that before I go sticking this in there, because this end goes right into the little master cylinder or slave cylinder in there. So I'm not going to screw it into the old slave cylinder when we're going to put a new one in there. That's where we're at for now. I'll show you guys the pedal. If we take a look in here, we can see the new brake pedal in there. We can look up in there and see the plate, how this all mounts. Clearance is the it dodges the steering column in there and stuff. Here's where the old brake pedal went. I'm probably gonna have to make a little plate to block that off. But yeah, this is really sweet. This is very nice. Now, instead of having a singular outlet on our master cylinder, we have two, and it's two separate reservoirs. So if one side of the brakes fails, then we still have the other side of the brakes. And there's also a proportioning valve in here, since we have disc brakes on the front and drums in the rear, instead of it being drums all the way around. So pretty sweet. That's going to be it for this video on this car. Next thing we're up to is Michael is currently rebuilding this header for the third time, so it can clearance it can go around the large starter we have in there now. So once that's done, we will be sticking the motor back in here. We have a new torque converter in the front of the transmission. Got the flywheel on there. It's not really the flywheel. Pressure plate. Flex plate. It's a flex plate. And then, yeah, we gotta stick those two together. Shove that on in there. Then I can wire up the starter, and I guess we could toss the old battery tray in here for just now before we get the new battery tray, and we could just slap a battery on there and hook it up and make sure I did everything right on the dash and all that, and we will be looking pretty good here, getting pretty close. So Jim has some nice wheels that are going to go on here. He'll have those to us whenever he's ready with them. And this car's very close. We got to change the rear end fluid. We got to change that out. Hopefully it has some in it and it hasn't leaked it all out over the years. And we got to do an oil change on the engine. I have to put some fresh oil, fresh tranny fluid in the transmission. Still gotta bleed the brakes and all that. We're really close. Well, if y'all want to see more, make sure you subscribe. Leave a like if you want. Comment down below. Hope you enjoy your day. Gas works.